Hi, my name is Mike. I'm the general manager over at Arctic Spas here in Boise. I hope you all are staying safe. We thought we'd put out some videos right now while everyone is staying home and they have some time to kill. And we wanted to put out some informational videos about hot tubs and how they're made. The reason it's important to me is because as I started out in this industry, I was trying to do some research about spas and how they're made. I found it was difficult to find good information. There's a lot of things people are saying out there, which is difficult to back up with data. It's difficult to prove. Sometimes it was conflicting. And so for me, it was a little bit confusing. And I came from the automotive industry, and there, you have a window sticker that tells you your miles per gallon. You know how efficient that car is, and they can't lie about it. It's all regulated by the government. For the most part, automakers comply, Volkswagen being an exception to that. But I found it was not that way in the hot tub industry. And so we wanted to answer some questions. One question that people often ask is it better to have perimeter insulation, or is it better to have a foam-filled tub to fill the entire cavity full of foam? Now, with that, what people will say is that more is better. The idea is that the more insulation you have, the better, because that's going to be more efficient. It's better to fill the entire cavity full of foam rather than insulating only the perimeter. Now, we wanted to ask that question, is that true or not? Or what is the advantage of going one way or another? So right now we're going to decide, is more better? Is it better to have more insulation to insulate the entire cavity? So let's look at that real quick here. Now, as we look at this, we have to consider the law of diminishing returns. The idea is that if you have insulation that's 4 inches thick on the perimeter, and that can actually hold in 98% of the heat, is it worth it to make that insulation 2, 3, 4 feet thick so that you can actually just insulate the entire cavity of the tub? Is it worth it to get that extra 2%? That is the question. Now, the question is, what is it going to cost us to get to 100% efficiency? If we're already at 98%, what is that extra 2% going to cost us? And is that worth it? Do we have a diminishing return on what it takes to produce that extra 2% of efficiency? Now, we're going to look at the inside of a tub to figure this out. As you can see here, this tub has perimeter insulation. So this has about 4 inches of insulation on the perimeter here, rather than filling the entire cavity full of insulation. Now, what that does is then it allows all the heat being dissipated off of this pump right here. You see that? As it's running a filtration cycle a few hours a day as it needs to keep the algae out of the water, it needs to run that water through the filters, keep it moving. As it's doing that a few hours a day, it's going to dissipate quite a bit of heat. Now, as that heat is dissipated, it can be stuck inside the cabinet. It's going to have all the doors, of course, on here. They're insulated as well. It can transfer through the fiberglass and into the water. Now, let's say you're losing 10% efficiency because you only have 4 inches of insulation. Can it be made up for by all the heat that is being reclaimed off of the pump? That's the question. Now, in order to figure that out, we did an experiment. We actually took a spa that had perimeter insulation and we disconnected the heater and we tried to see if it could hold at 100 degrees. So here's what we did. Now, here's what we did. We took the heater wire, as you can see here, we disconnected it from the circuit board. So that heater is inoperative right now. Now, we tried to see if we could hold at 100 degrees with this spa as it's running a filtration cycle a few hours a day as that pump's running, to see how much heat was being reclaimed off of that pump. Here's what we found. At room temperature, in the showroom, it's holding at 100 degrees. So what's the final word? Is more better? Is more insulation better in a hot tub? Is perimeter insulation more efficient than full foam or not? Here's what we found. The numbers show that in actuality, perimeter insulation is more efficient because of the law of diminishing returns, seeing that perimeter insulation can be up to 90% efficient. That's all it really needs to be, right? Because you're reclaiming the heat coming off of those pumps. Now take a look at this. Now, we did the best we could to compare apples to apples here. We've got a 7-foot tub, and it's at about 45 degrees, you can see here. and we're trying to calculate the monthly cost to run it. They're saying this is a Hot Springs Vanguard. It's part of their High Life series, which is supposed to be the top of the line. They're saying about $24.17 a month to run it when it's about 45 degrees. Now, by comparison, we've got one here that has perimeter insulation. We've got the readout from a customer here, and this is from February 4th to March 3rd here in Boise. Now, here is what they spent to run it. The numbers show that in actuality, if you compare two 7x7 tubs, look at that. The tub with perimeter insulation cost less to run. So what is the final word? Is more better? Is it better to have more insulation? Is it better to fill the entire cavity full of foam? Well, there may be some advantages to a foam-filled tub. However, it is clear that perimeter insulation is more efficient for all the reasons that we've mentioned. Now, if you guys have any questions about this, or if you want to look at this further, feel free to call us. We're here for any questions you got. Our number here to reach us is 208-891-1462. Again, that's 208-891-1462. Or feel free to stop by the showroom here in Boise. You can check out our website at arcticspasboise.com. Thanks, guys. See you soon.